Imagine sitting in the audience at a conference,
Okay.
and the person on stage, they boot up their presentation, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're getting ready to share this brilliant, game-changing strategy with the crowd.
Right. The big moment.
Exactly. And they are getting nodding heads, applause, people are, furiously taking notes,
Mm-hmm.
but there's just one massive problem.
Let me guess. It's your strategy.
It is entirely your strategy. I mean, you spent 2 years researching it, refining the data, inventing the specific acronyms, the whole framework they are presenting.
Oh, that is just devastating.
Right. But here is the really crazy part. This stranger, they didn't break into your office to steal your notes.
Right.
They didn't even know you existed.
Mm-hmm.
They just typed a prompt into a generative AI program. And the machine, which had secretly absorbed your brilliance from some, random corner of the internet, just handed your life's work right over to them.
Yeah, and the presenter genuinely thinks the AI just invented this framework exclusively for them.
Exactly, which creates what we call market confusion. It's this total disconnect between who actually created an idea and who gets the credit and, frankly, the profit for sharing it.
It is a profoundly disorienting scenario,
Yeah.
especially for anyone who makes a living through their ideas. And, we are looking at a reality that has moved entirely past the realm of hypothetical tech anxiety.
It's happening right now.
Every single day. This specific brand of intellectual extraction is happening across every industry at a scale that is honestly just difficult to fully comprehend.
Well, welcome to our deep dive. Today we are focusing on a recent announcement surrounding an entrepreneur, Wall Street Journal bestselling author, and TEDx speaker named Kary Oberbrunner.
Yeah.
And our mission today is to look at the source material regarding this recent experience he had. We want to use it to understand this massive seismic shift happening right beneath the surface of our modern economy.
It really is seismic.
It is. We're going to explore how the AI revolution is, well, fundamentally rewriting the definition of intellectual property theft. And more importantly, we're going to examine the radical new methods creators are using to shield their thoughts.
Yeah, the defense mechanisms.
Right. Okay, let's unpack this. Because the inciting incident that kicked off this entire initiative, it serves as the perfect case study for the shock of this whole new reality.
It really does. Because Oberbrunner's experience is highly illustrative. It moves the conversation away from, abstract fears about algorithms.
Right.
And it grounds it in a very practical, real-world loss of control. I mean, he gave a TEDx talk,
Which is huge.
arguably one of the highest profile stages for original thought out there. And shortly after delivering this deeply personal, highly researched intellectual labor, he found his specific framework showing up in derivative AI-generated online materials.
I want to dig into the mechanics of that discovery, actually. Because how does someone even realize an AI has scraped their work?
Yeah, it's a good question.
From the sources, it seems it wasn't just like a vague thematic resemblance, right? The AI wasn't just summarizing general leadership principles.
No, not at all.
It was regurgitating his bespoke phrasing, his unique sequencing of ideas. I mean, the specific architecture of his talk. It had basically ingested the very DNA of his presentation.
What's fascinating here is the illusion of genesis that AI creates.
The illusion of Genesis, I like that.
Right, because in the past, if a human plagiarized your work, they knew they were stealing. The person copying a book or, downloading a slide deck was actively committing theft.
They felt the guilt.
Exactly. But generative AI introduces this weird middleman that completely obscures the origin of the thought. The end user types a prompt asking for a leadership framework, and the AI synthesizes Oberbrunner's TEDx talk and spits it out.
And there's no citation.
Zero. The user doesn't see a bibliography. They just see what appears to be a brand new, freshly minted idea.
Okay, let me push back on the framing of this as theft for a moment, because I hear this counter-argument all the time.
Sure, let's hear it.
If I go to the library, right, and I read a dozen books on marketing, I synthesize those concepts in my brain, and then I use that knowledge to consult for a business.
Right.
Society doesn't call me a thief. We call that education. We call it learning. So if an AI model is simply reading the internet and learning patterns, why are we treating its output as inherently sinister or stolen?
Well, the distinction lies entirely in the biological limitations of a human versus the computational velocity of a machine.
Okay, velocity.
Right. When a human learns, they process information slowly. They mix it with their own lived experiences, and their output is inherently limited by their individual capacity to share it.
Right. I can only talk to so many people in a day.
Exactly. A human simply cannot read a book, perfectly memorize a proprietary 5-step framework and then instantly distribute it to 10 million people simultaneously in
Yeah.
50 different languages?
Oh, wow. Yeah, when you put it like that.
Right. AI models do not learn in a biological sense. They ingest, they parse, and they statistically replicate data. They strip the framework of its author's identity and instantly commodify it globally.
So it's not really about the act of reading at all.
Ugh.
It's about the industrial scale of the replication. And like you said, the total erasure of the source. It's not like someone photocopying your test. It's like a sci-fi hive mind absorbing your brain and instantly teaching everyone else your unique skills.
That is a terrifyingly accurate analogy. Yeah.
Which brings us back to that term you used earlier, market confusion.
Mm.
The AI essentially launders the intellectual property, right?
It does.
It convinces the person at the keyboard that they are collaborating with a genius machine, when in reality they're just being handed the uncredited, unpaid labor of a specific human being.
And that is the core of the issue. The market becomes deeply saturated with individuals claiming ownership of methodologies they did not originate. It completely devalues the labor of the actual creator because suddenly their unique offering is available everywhere for free under 100 different names.
Which brings up a really crucial point for you, the listener, because you might be sitting there thinking, I am not giving a TEDx talk anytime soon,
Right.
and I don't write best-selling books, so why should I care if AI is scraping frameworks?
But you should care.
You absolutely should. Our sources point to a concept outlined in a book Oberbrunner co-authored titled, You Are an IP Company. And this concept, it completely changes the way you have to view the work you do every day.
It really does. If we connect this to the bigger picture, the very definition of a valuable asset has completely transformed over the last few decades.
How so?
Well, think about the 1970s or 80s. If you looked at the companies making up the S&P 500, their value was overwhelmingly tangible.
Like physical stuff.
Exactly. It was tied up in physical factories, fleets of delivery vehicles, raw materials, warehouse inventory. But today, the vast majority of the value in the S&P 500 is completely intangible.
We are talking about algorithms.
Yes.
Brand voices, systems, specialized training modules, internal methodologies.
All of it.
And that shift isn't just for massive corporations, right? It applies directly to the individual. I mean, if you are a consultant developing a custom roadmap for a client,
Or an educator building a fresh curriculum.
or a founder drafting a pitch deck for a new startup,
Mhm.
you are generating intellectual property. Your unique method of solving a problem is your inventory.
Exactly. And many professionals operate under this assumption that their value comes from their physical labor or, their time on the clock.
Right. Billable hours.
But the reality is their real value comes from their proprietary way of thinking. And the warning articulated in the source material is stark. Most people do not realize they are sitting on highly valuable intellectual property until it has already been exposed.
Scraped and integrated into a large language model.
Exactly.
I think we really need to update our mental model for what theft looks like in this new economy, because we still think about it like stealing a physical object.
Right, like a car.
Yeah, if someone steals your car, it is gone. You cannot drive to work. But AI scraping is different. It's not like someone stealing your car.
What is it like then?
It is like someone secretly copying the blueprints to your custom-built car. And then they manufacture 10,000 perfect replicas overnight and give them away to everyone in your city for free.
Oh, that's good.
Right. You still have your original car. It is sitting right there in your driveway, but
Wow.
it is no longer special. And your business selling custom cars, completely ruined.
That is a highly accurate representation of a non-rivalrous digital good. The original creator isn't deprived of the use of their idea. They are deprived of the exclusivity and the potential monetization of that idea.
Which is huge.
It is. And this is why we are seeing such massive multi-industry legal battles unfolding right now. We see major publications suing over their archives being ingested.
Yeah, the New York Times case and all those.
Exactly. We see visual artists finding their highly distinct, specialized aesthetics generated in seconds by prompting an image creator. Voice actors are discovering their exact tonal cadences cloned and used in commercials they never even agreed to.
It's wild. And the text mentions a very binary view of this new world from Oberbrunner. He states that your ideas are either protected or they are training someone else's model.
That's a chilling thought.
Right. There is no middle ground. There's no neutral zone anymore. If a framework is uploaded to the internet and it isn't locked down, it is just fuel for the algorithm.
And that forces a proactive posture. Historically, creators could afford to be reactive, You create something, you put it out into the world, and if someone happens to infringe on it later, you deal with it then.
You send a cease and desist.
Right. But that reactive posture is now entirely obsolete.
So what does this all mean? I mean, if the stakes are this high and our intangible thoughts are the literal currency of the modern professional world, why are the tools we have used for centuries failing so spectacularly?
That's the million-dollar question.
We have the U.S. Copyright Office. We have patents. Why do we need a completely new defense system? Why can't I just, copyright my slide deck the old-fashioned way?
Well, the failure of traditional IP systems in the face of AI comes down to a fundamental mismatch in velocity.
Velocity again.
Yes, the architecture of a government copyright or patent office was designed for an analog, paper-based world.
Bureaucracy.
Exactly. Submitting a claim involves filling out applications, paying filing fees, waiting for a bureaucratic review process. It can take months, sometimes stretching into a year or more, just to receive official certification of your claim.
Meanwhile, a web scraper can ingest an entire website's worth of intellectual property in a fraction of a second.
Literally milliseconds.
You cannot fight a millisecond data extraction with a 6-month bureaucratic waiting period. By the time you get your official copyright certificate back in the mail, the AI has already read your framework.
Yep.
It's integrated into its neural network and generated 10,000 uncredited blog posts based on your methodology for users all across the globe.
The traditional shield is simply too slow to block a modern, automated weapon. The friction of the legal system makes it functionally useless for the speed of digital creation.
It's like bringing a sword to a laser fight.
Exactly. And this is the exact problem that Oberbrunner's company, Instant IP, is attempting to solve with a concept they call idea protection at the speed of thought.
Okay, I really want to break down the actual mechanics of how this speed of thought protection works. Because the sources mentioned it relies on a cryptographically verifiable timestamp and a tamper-proof evidence record backed by blockchain technology.
Which sounds like a lot of jargon.
Exactly. To a lot of listeners, those just sound like tech buzzwords. How does this actually function under the hood? And more importantly, does it actually protect you legally?
Okay, so to understand the mechanism, we need to briefly demystify the blockchain application here. When a creator wants to protect a file, say a PDF of a keynote presentation, they do not upload the actual contents of that presentation to a public blockchain.
Oh, okay, so your secret sauce isn't public.
Right, that would defeat the purpose. Instead, the software uses a process called hashing.
Hashing. Okay, think of hashing like generating a unique digital fingerprint for your document, right?
Exactly that. You run the file through a cryptographic algorithm, and it spits out a long, unique string of letters and numbers.
Okay.
And here's the magic part. If you change even a single comma in that 50-page PDF, the algorithm will generate a completely different string of numbers.
Wow, just from a comma.
Yep. That specific, unique fingerprint is what gets recorded onto the blockchain, along with the exact millisecond it was created.
So the blockchain acts as this immutable, unchangeable public ledger. You aren't exposing your secret ideas to the public at all. You are just publishing the mathematical proof that a specific file existed in your possession at a specific time.
Precisely.
But let's walk through the real-world application of this. Let's say I timestamp my framework on a Tuesday.
Okay, Tuesday.
On Friday, OpenAI or another major tech company releases a new model, and suddenly it is spitting out my exact framework to its users.
Right.
Does a blockchain timestamp actually give me any leverage against a trillion-dollar tech company?
It absolutely does, because it addresses the most difficult hurdle in intellectual property disputes: establishing prior art and proving the timeline of creation.
Proving you were first.
Exactly. In the United States, copyright is technically established the moment an original work is fixed in a tangible medium. You don't actually need a government certificate to own your work.
Right, you own it the second you write it down.
Yes. The problem is proving to a platform or a judge when you created it.
Ah, so it is a burden of proof issue.
Right.
Without the timestamp, it's just my word against the machines. I'm just a guy claiming I thought of it first.
Precisely. The cryptographic timestamp acts as an undeniable audit trail. If you need to issue a Digital Millennium Copyright Act takedown notice, a DMCA, to a platform hosting AI-generated content that steals your work, you aren't just sending a strongly worded letter.
You're sending the receipts.
You are attaching immutable mathematical proof that your creation predates the AI's output. It shifts the burden of proof entirely. You have removed the ambiguity that AI companies often rely on to claim they, didn't know where the data came from.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. Because they aren't just keeping this technology locked away for, enterprise software companies or Fortune 500 legal teams.
No, they're bringing it to the creators.
Right. Our source material outlines a specific initiative called the Protect the Talk campaign. Oberbrunner is taking this blockchain-backed timestamping and applying it to one of the most visible, high-value stages in the world.
TEDx. It is a highly strategic environment to test this infrastructure, honestly. I mean, a TEDx stage is literally branded around ideas worth spreading.
Right. Yeah.
The entire point is to introduce novel, paradigm-shifting concepts to the public.
But the irony is, the moment you put a novel concept on a public stage in 2026, you are essentially ringing the dinner bell for every AI web scraper on the internet.
You really are.
You want to spread your idea, but you also want your name attached to it. So Oberbrunner set up a portal. We have the link here in the sources. It's instanttip.today/speaker, where TEDx speakers, hosts, and organizers can claim a free instant IP credit.
It acts as a fascinating socio-technological experiment.
Yeah, how so?
Well, they are giving speakers the ability to generate that digital fingerprint for their keynote materials, their slide decks, and their spoken frameworks before they ever step in front of the cameras.
Oh, I see. It represents a fundamental shift from a reactive defense to a preemptive strike.
Exactly. They are locking down the perimeter of the intellectual property before it is ever exposed to the open web.
That makes total sense.
It acknowledges a harsh reality. You can no longer step up to a microphone and just assume good faith. You have to arrive with your cryptographic armor already secured.
It is such a stark contrast to how public speaking used to feel. It used to be about the pure connection with the audience. Now, it's almost like a defensive maneuver against invisible algorithms.
Which is a bit sad, really. And this raises an important question regarding the broader ecosystem of human knowledge.
Yeah.
We have to consider what happens to the landscape of original thought if tools like this do not become widely adopted. Because TEDx speakers represent some of the most dedicated original thinkers across multiple disciplines.
Right. And if those thinkers operate in a world where they know, with absolute certainty, that stepping onto a stage means their life's work will be instantly harvested,
Stripped of their identity.
right, and commodified by a tech company,
Yeah.
do they still get on the stage?
History suggests they wouldn't.
Mhm.
If the incentive structure for sharing knowledge is broken, if the reward for publicizing a breakthrough is basically having it stolen and monetized by a machine, we risk entering an era of severe intellectual hoarding.
Oh, wow, intellectual hoarding. People just keeping their best ideas to themselves.
Exactly. Brilliant minds might choose to keep their insights locked in corporate vaults or shared only behind expensive, private paywalls. The open exchange of ideas that drives societal progress, it relies entirely on the creator receiving credit and value for their contribution.
So the speed of thought protection isn't just about helping one consultant protect a slide deck.
Not at all.
It's about preserving the basic human incentive to share discoveries in a digital ecosystem that currently, kind of punishes it. It's about keeping the public square open.
It is a necessary structural evolution. I mean, think about it. Just as the invention of the printing press required the eventual creation of copyright laws to manage the mass production of books.
Right.
The invention of generative AI requires the creation of cryptographic timestamps to manage the mass extraction of ideas. The technology of protection must scale to meet the technology of extraction.
That is perfectly said. So to recap the journey we've been on in this deep dive, we started by looking at a deeply modern nightmare.
A very real nightmare.
Yeah. A professional speaker, realizing a generative AI had quietly absorbed his bespoke frameworks and was feeding them to strangers as original thought.
Yep.
And that catalyst forced us to recognize a massive macroeconomic shift, the realization that we are all functionally IP companies.
We all have inventory.
Exactly. Our most valuable assets are no longer physical inventory. They are our intangible methodologies, our unique problem-solving frameworks, and our distinct voices.
And we then explored the mechanical failure of traditional bureaucratic systems, noting how a months-long patent process is just useless against an AI model that operates in milliseconds.
Which brought us to the highly technical yet incredibly necessary emergence of blockchain-backed solutions, tools utilizing cryptographic hashing to create immutable evidence records.
Speed of thought protection.
Right, allowing creators to establish prior art at the speed of thought. And we looked at how this is currently being beta tested on major platforms like TEDx, moving creators from a reactive posture to a preemptive one.
The transition from relying on government authority to relying on mathematical proof. It is one of the most significant shifts in the history of intellectual property.
It truly is. And I want to take a second to speak directly to you, the listener.
Yeah, this applies to everyone.
It really does. Whether you are prepping for a major strategic meeting next week, outlining a new piece of software, or just sitting at your kitchen table organizing your own unique process for your industry, your ideas have intrinsic tangible value.
Absolutely.